Book of Heaven, Volume 20, Part 18. January 20th, 1927. How the communion of the divine will is not subject to being consumed. Its veils are intangible. She longs for heaven, and therefore she is melancholic, and puts all creation in melancholy. Having received communion, I remained afflicted and distressed, because the fits of coughing were such and so many that I felt I was suffocating, and I could neither think nor be with Jesus according to my usual way. Then, after 1 hour and more of intense coughing, I calmed down and I thought to myself, it has already been 1 hour and more since I received Jesus, and I have not been able to recollect myself to be all alone with him. The accidents of the host are now consumed. Jesus has left, and I do not know where else to find him again. So today for me it has been as if I had not received Holy Communion. But after all, also in this, I kiss, I adore, and I bless the Supreme Fiat. Now, while I was thinking of this, my sweet Jesus came out from within my interior, leaned his head upon my shoulder, and sustained me with his arms to give me strength, for I was so exhausted that I felt myself dying. And all goodness, he said to me, "My daughter, do you not know that there is a communion that is eternal, so great and not subject to either diminishing or being consumed? Its veils that hide it in the midst of creatures are not subject to perishing like the veils of the sacramental host. It gives itself in every instant, at each breath, at each heartbeat, and in all circumstances. Even more, one must be always with one's mouth open to be able to receive them all. That is, with the will of always wanting to receive this communion so great and continuous, that as much as it gives itself, it is not subject to either diminishing or being consumed. Otherwise, many times they remain outside of the soul, without entering into her. You have already understood what this communion so great and continuous is. It is my divine fiat that flows as life within your soul, as heat to fecundate you and to make you grow, as food to nourish you. It flows in the blood of your veins, in the beating of your heart, in everything. It is always in the act of giving itself to you, if you just want to receive it. It would drown you with communions, so many it wants to give you. With reason, with justice, and by right, the communion of my will was to be without limits and not subject to being consumed, because it is origin, means, and end of the creature, and therefore she was to be able to receive it in such a way that it could never, never be lacking to her. In fact, something that is origin, means, and end must be in continuous act of giving itself and of being received. If it were not so, her origin of living and the means to sustain herself would be lacking for the poor creature, and she would lose the end that she must reach. Therefore, my infinite wisdom could never allow that the communion of my will be limited for them. On the other hand, the sacramental communion was not given as origin of creatures, nor as end, but it was given as means, help, refreshment, and medicine. And the means, the helps, and so forth, are given in a limited way. They are not perennial. This is why the veils of the sacramental accidents are subject to being consumed. More so, since if creatures love to receive me continuously, there is the great communion of the eternal Fiat that is in act of giving itself continuously to them. Yet you were afflicting and almost troubling yourself as you were thinking that the sacramental species were consumed. You had no reason to afflict yourself, because inside and outside of you, there is the communion of my will that is not subject to undergoing any consummation. Its life is always in its fullness, nor could my love tolerate that the little daughter of our will be unable to receive our divine life, always new and continuous. Then after this I continued to feel sick, and while praying the round in the creation to follow the acts of the Supreme Will, I felt a note of sadness within me, because obedience had imposed on me to obey in letting my sickness be taken away, while I was longing for heaven. I would have wanted to make a jump from the middle of creation in order to reach my yearned-for fatherland, praying the heavens, the stars, the sun, and all created things to accompany me. In fact, since one was the Fiat that gave us life, I had my rights that they should not leave me alone, but should all follow me up to the eternal gates, waiting for that very will that had possessed me on earth to receive me in heaven first. And then, after my entrance into the beatific celestial will, they could withdraw, each one to its place. But since I could not do this, I felt melancholic, and so I was praying my round throughout the whole creation. Now while I was doing this, a loud, harmonious, and silvery voice made itself heard from the center of creation, saying, "Your sad note has communicated itself to all created things. So today you have put us all in melancholy. Be sure that we shall all accompany you to heaven. It is right that the one who has been in our midst, who has kept us company, may not enter heaven without our company. But all creation shall remain without the one who puts gaiety in it, who keeps it in feast. Your echo shall no longer resound in our midst, by which, rendering us as though speaking, we magnify, love, and praise that divine will that created us and preserves us. We shall lose the one who visits us and keeps us company. The voice kept silent, and I myself felt I was breathing a melancholic air. So I thought I had committed sin for having put the whole creation in melancholy with my sadness. And so I yearned for my sweet Jesus, to tell him of the evil I had done, to tell him that the reason he had made me write so many things regarding the divine will was so that these might reach into the midst of creatures in such a way that by living of this divine fiat, they might possess a kingdom so holy. Then, while I was thinking of this and other things, my beloved Jesus moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, you are right in wanting to come, but before all the knowledges of my will come out and do their course, it shall take time. And this is why the creation is right in saying that it shall be left in its silence once again. However, I do not want you to oppress yourself. Abandon yourself in me, and let your Jesus do everything." And I, my love, when you take me to heaven, I pray that you take me quickly, quickly, so that they may not have the time to give me this obedience. But while I was saying this, I seemed to see the heavens, the sun, and all creation bowing around me to pay homage. And Jesus added, "My daughter, when you die, the whole creation shall invest you, and you shall pass into heaven in a flash. Aren't you happy?" January 23rd, 1927. How the divine fiat is powerful magnet that draws God to the creature. How the human will is more than earthquake, and how it is exposed to all thieves. As I continued to be more sick than usual, my sweet Jesus made himself seen, not himself alone, but together with the three divine persons. They all surrounded me, and I remained in their midst. Nor could I see anything but their supreme height and the immense light that surrounded them. And all three of them said to me, "We have come to make a visit to our daughter who is sick." Our will, more than powerful magnet, drew us and called us from heaven to make us come to you. Nor could we do without coming to cheer the one who is firstborn daughter of our will, and to keep her a little company in her sufferings. The strength of our fiat is irresistible for us, and surrendering to its strength is happiness to us. Now who can say what I felt and comprehended while being in their midst? I do not have the words to express myself. Then, since obedience had told me that I should have something to eat, while I was unable to take anything, in order to obey, Before Jesus came, I had taken a few spoonfuls of broth, and I felt it inside my throat, unable to go down into my stomach. I told Jesus to let me obey, and Jesus, all goodness, passed his holy hand from my throat to my stomach, making it go down to my stomach so that I could digest it, in such a way that I did not bring it up as I usually do every day. That whatever I take, I bring up. Infinite goodness of Jesus for me, who am the littlest and poorest creature. Then after this, I remained afflicted, because I thought that they would take me with them. And since they didn't, I felt sad. And Jesus, to cheer me, placed himself with his face in front of my chest. And as he breathed over me, a light came out of his breath that served not only for my soul, but also to recompose my whole body. As the breath would cease, my body would fall apart. And Jesus, to cheer me, said to me, "My daughter, courage. Don't you see that the mere breath and light of my will recomposes also your body? So if I stop my breath, your body shall fall apart, and you shall immediately take the way to our celestial fatherland." And I, "My love, I am useless and I am good at nothing. Would it not be better for you to get rid of me by sending me to the celestial Jerusalem?" And Jesus, all goodness, added, "My daughter, everything is useful to me, even the little stones, the rubble, in order to build. The same for you. Everything that forms your body is like rubble, but vivified by the vital fluid of the eternal Fiat, everything becomes precious and of incalculable value, in such a way that I can build the strongest and most impregnable cities over that precious rubble. You must know that as man withdrew from the divine will by doing his own, it happened as when a strong earthquake strikes a city. The strong tremor makes chasms open in the earth, and in some places it swallows the houses. Someplace else it tears them down to pieces. The power of the tremor opens the coffers most securely locked, and puts out diamonds, coins, precious things, in such a way that thieves can enter and steal whatever they want. So the poor city is reduced to a heap of stones, ruins, rubble, and wreckage. Now, if a king wants to build that city again, he uses those very heaps of stones, wreckage, and rubble. And since he makes it all new, he forms it in modern style, giving it such sumptuousness of art and beauty that there may be no other city equal to it. And so he makes it the capital of the kingdom. My daughter, the human will was more than earthquake for man, and this earthquake is still lasting. sometimes stronger, sometimes a little less so, in such a way that it puts out of him the most precious things that God placed in the depth of man. So this earthquake of his own will renders him all messed up. The key of the supreme Fiat that kept everything in custody and secured no longer exists for them. Therefore, since they have no more doors nor keys, but collapsing walls, the thieves of their passions go looting, and they remain exposed to all evils, and many times shattered into wreckage and rubble, such that one can hardly recognize them as the cities once built by their Creator. Now, since I want to build again the kingdom of my will in the midst of creatures, I want to use your wreckage and rubble, and by investing them with the vital fluid of my creative will, I shall form the capital of the kingdom of the supreme Fiat. This is how you are useful to me. Aren't you happy? January 25th, 1927. Jesus pushes her to write. The one who lives in the divine will breathes the all. The soul who lives in it copies God within herself, and she remains copied in God. Feeling in suffering, I felt I was incapable of writing what blessed Jesus manifested to his little daughter. So I remained quite a few days without writing. In my interior, Jesus incited me to do it, but I would refuse to do it because of the great weakness I felt. Finally, this morning, coming out from my interior, he said to me, "Tonight my daughter must write, because even if she were dying, I want her to give the last flashes of light, strong and dazzling, of the knowledges about the supreme Fiat, so that all may know that my will has kept her always occupied for itself and for its kingdom, and her last breath shall be nothing other than a strong flash of light that shall remain as the last attestation of love and of manifestation for the kingdom of my will. Therefore, while you write, I shall help you, and the little daughter of my will shall refuse nothing to her Jesus, and to that Fiat, which with so much love keeps you on its lap, to entrust to you its secrets." So after this, I made up my mind to write, even just a little, because my sweet Jesus is content with anything. Then my sweet Jesus said to me, "My daughter, the one who lives in my divine will breathes the all, and just as the breath is taken and is given, and one receives it to then give it back with no time in between, the one who breathes the all, that is God, in emitting her breath, gives the all that she has breathed. So she takes all, and she gives all. She gives the all to God, giving God to God, and she gives the all to creatures, to then breathe God again, and everything that God does. It is natural that the one who takes all can give all. Only in the divine will is the life of the Supreme Being bilocated continuously on the part of creatures. And I, my Jesus, I feel I am doing nothing, and you tell me that in your fiat I take all and I give all? And Jesus added, my daughter, when the all operates, the nothing remains in its place. It only makes itself available to receive the all. And besides, do you not feel within yourself the strength of this all, that making you embrace and invade everything, heavens, stars, sun, seas, and earth, and embrace all the acts that my fiat exercises in the whole creation, makes you bring them to your Creator, as though in one breath, to give everyone and everything back to Him? Has there been anyone until now who has given and has been able to say, I give everything to God, even God Himself, because since I live in His will, God is mine, the heavens are mine, the sun, and everything that this supreme fiat has done is mine. So since everything is mine, I can give everything, and I can take everything. Now, it happens as a consequence that the one who lives in my will has the possession of the all, and this forms and draws the kingdom of the divine will upon earth. Because in order to form a kingdom, it takes the strength of the power of the all. After this, he made himself seen as a little child, staring at me so much as to remain as though impressed within me. And he wanted me to look at him, but so much as to remain myself impressed in him. Then all love and tenderness, he told me, my daughter, this is the true image of the living in my eternal volition. The soul copies the divine will within herself, and the supreme will copies the soul, in such a way that your Creator keeps the copy of your image impressed within His womb. He holds her so dear, because He sees her exactly as He issued her from her origin. She has lost nothing of her freshness and beauty. His paternal features are impressed in this copy. And this copy, in the paternal womb of God, sings for Him the praises of all creation with all His works, and whispers continuously to His ear, you made everything for me. You loved me, and love me so very much. And I want to convert everything into love for you. This copy is the portent of God in His womb. She is the memory of all His works. This is the copy of the soul in God, and the copy of God in the soul, and the carrying out of the divine life in the creature. How beautiful is the kingdom of my will, the nothing dissolved in the all fused in the nothing, the lowliness of the creature rising up into the divine height, the divine height descending into the depth of the creature. They are two beings clasped together, inseparable, transfused, identified, such that it can barely be recognized that they are two lives palpitating together. All the magnificence, the sanctity, the sublimeness, the prodigies of the kingdom of my will shall be precisely this: the faithful copy of the soul in God, and the copy of God, whole and beautiful, in the soul. Therefore, the children of the kingdom of the divine Fiat shall be as many images of little gods in my kingdom. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 20, Part 18. Fiat.